Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited to put this together today as part of our Ship It lesson overall. We're covering how to leverage AI to ship big tech products. And you already know Ethan Evans, but we'll jump into his, well, if we click on the right thing, into your bio, Ethan.
Yeah, so this is my background. Most of you know me, but if you don't, just quick reminder, computer science education, 12 years in different startups. This is where I got to know Dave, who's here. We went to Carnegie Mellon together, and then we worked at some of these startups together. I did 15 years at Amazon. The list of 5 of the things I did is there. And for the last 5 years, I've been teaching. And so I have some of the slides in this deck. Dave and I will tag team, and I'll hand it back to him for now.
Perfect. Thanks, Ethan. So my background, for those that don't know me, similar. We both were in CMU and got a degree in mathematics. Started out as an engineer, moved into management, kind of you know, promotion directly to management without much training, but at the same time spent 12 years in startups, about 15 years in large companies, and 20 years in the National Guard. So it's a different perspective on leadership. There's a number of things that I've done listed here. The most significant before I went into retirement was the launch of the 2024 Olympics last summer. So with that, we'll get into kind of the presentation about AI and how to accelerate things. As you can see, the CEO of Google is all behind it. Looking forward to producing products we can't even imagine, that we haven't seen before, and going at a faster pace. So today we're going to cover kind of how we create those projects, how we come up with those products using AI. When you come up with that product, how to leverage program management and AI in those areas to accelerate, how to make sure we are aligned with all the other teams to use AI and get things out, as well as continuously smart monitoring the things that are in production. And finally, we close with the most important piece, which is tying it all together with the business outcomes. What is business looking for when you've got these new products going into production?
And Dave, you can stay on that slide for one
Sure.
second. If I were to say one thing here, just so everybody has the right expectation, we're not talking about how to use AI to write code or which AI tool is going to be the best of the different tools to edit your resume or even to produce your status report. This is a level up from that, which is if you're trying to ship an Olympic size product that's got hundreds of team members across dozens of locations, what do you do? What are the implications of AI on leading a project at that size? At the micro level of making the different pieces of work faster, that's a separate, like, how to use AI tools, and that's not what we're covering today. Go ahead, Dave.
No, thanks, Ethan. That's great context. Pop forward a couple slides, but we're not focusing on those. We're focusing on how to accelerate things. For example, coming up with the unimagined products. How can you use AI to do this? If you're not already doing it, using AI to drive innovation, to use it to ideate, kind of I've used the whack pack that has often come up before, but it's something like that to go to AI and drive questions and come back with answers. And one of the greatest things a business can do is feed in the information about the customer, your current products, all the information about what you'd like to see, your infrastructure, and start asking questions about things that might be innovative or interesting for your customers. Feed in your existing ideas. It may come up with new and interesting places to go. One thing I find, I mean, there's a lot of talk about hallucinations today, but a hallucination may actually be good in this case. You really want an open-ended, even wrong answers are good answers when you're brainstorming, and this is a form of brainstorming with an AI that helps unblock the process. Once you've got an idea, you can then use AI to drive rapid prototyping. This used to take months. When we were working on Eurosport, we wanted to prototype a new interface. We would dig in and build for months to create a prototype for product to take a look at. We might have version A, version B. We would go back and forth. Now with AI, you can set up your infrastructure, describe it. You can even describe the expected loads, where customers will go. And if it understands your systems well, it can look for the bottlenecks in the system. It can look for challenges. It can look for scaling issues. It can do a lot of analysis before you've even had any engineer write a line of code. That's an amazing speed up for this whole process. At the same time, I mentioned kind of the writing one or A/B testing to look at what is the customer looking for. AI can also help you personalize in a very fast-paced scaling way where it can analyze the customers and where they're at, take a look and find, because the AIs are amazing at pattern recognition, find cohorts that you may not have even seen, develop experiences based on any knobs and levers that you've put into the system so that it can test out experiences on part of your customers. And that will give you analysis for developing new features or even just customizing the interface on the fly with the customer. It's amazing acceleration. Tie that together with pointing it at all the knowledge that you have about the industry, your patents that are out there, your competitors. You can do a lot of R&D in a very fast pace to come up with unimagined products that we're just going to see an explosion. People want to move fast. AI is going to allow them to move faster than we have before. And so once you've come up with that idea, those new ideas, how do you get them out? And this is where
I'm going to take you back real
sure.
quick, Dave, just to give folks an idea. If you haven't used AI yet for ideation or product management, an example, a few weeks ago, I made a post where I observed that many of the people who come and attend my classes are from South Asia. And so I'm not South Asian, although I ran an office in Bangalore and Dave was there with me. So I asked the South Asians and others in my audience, what about my content is working for you? Why do you come to my classes? Why do you follow me in such disproportionate numbers? And like 60 people commented. I dumped all 60 comments into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize and find common themes. This is the kind of thing you can do with customer feedback that would have been a painful, inaccurate, long drawn out exercise before to take 60 different perspectives and try to figure out the common themes, or AI could do it for me in about 2 minutes, not even, right?
Yeah.
So that's just one idea. Keep going, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. It just accelerates that whole process. But once you've kind of pulled out that information, how do you get it into reality? And this is the acceleration of program management. So you look at the list of things that you want to do, you have a prioritization. This takes weeks, if not months, again, when we're normally doing it, when we're doing it for big issues or big programs like the Olympics, it can take weeks to put together the actual plan of what and the prioritization. AI can take a look at this and truthfully evaluate each one of the different features or products that you want to put in front of the customer. And a key here that I wanted to call out is it can do it impartially. As long as you haven't kind of accidentally slanted it in one direction or another with something that you like, it'll give you a very honest perception of what the right prioritization is, and you can drive it in that direction. You can make sure that you're doing the right things in the right order. You can then look at resource allocation across the teams, and it can be impartially looking for which teams need what resources to get the new feature or the new products done. At the same time, go ahead.
I want to emphasize what you said. You have to be careful to ask it to be impartial or to be
Yes.
harsh. AI is still a consumer product, the way we all use it. These are companies that want you to adopt it, and they have slanted AI or biased it, whatever you want to call it, tuned it to be nice and to be supportive. And AI is incredibly good at picking up on your biases and reflecting them back to you, because we love nothing more than a tool that tells us what we want to hear. And AI does that actually very well. So you may need to instruct AI to say, pick apart my ideas, act as a act as a harsh critic. You have to give, if this is old, and some of you I'm sure are prompt experts and some of you aren't, but AI will figure out what you think the product should be and will provide the data to tell you what a great product vision you have. So you have to remind it that you don't want a sycophant, right? You want
Yeah. Yeah.
a critical thought partner.
You have to, and you have to be very crystal clear. That's a great call out, Ethan. You can't even ask it like if you asked it like I want a new car, but you've talked about you like Fords before. It'll somehow manage to come up with Fords if you really aren't telling it to be very open-ended and to pick it apart. So good
I
call
was
out.
asking ChatGPT today for some ideas for different healthy breakfasts I could eat. And I gave it 3 examples of things I choose to eat today. And it started with a paragraph of compliments about how healthy my diet is. Like, it's been trained to be this way. So just be
Yeah.
aware, and if I had started that very differently and said, like, I feel bad about the food I eat and I think I'm very unhealthy, I probably would have gotten a very different answer. So just be aware of some of that. I won't hold this up further, but
Yeah. It's a very important part because what you
well,
want is that impart. Go ahead, Ethan.
I guess I was going to say, sorry, Dave, we're a tag team here.
Yep.
What you're learning is that AI, hopefully you're learning, and I'm going to talk more about this in a minute. AI is a really powerful tool, and the danger in that power for trying to ship big projects or decide what they should be is if you aim that cannon slightly wrong, it will blow up something you didn't intend. Like, all that power can be really great, but also can allow it to be very warping. So yeah, it has to be used. It's, the sword is very sharp. Be
Yeah.
careful not to cut yourself. So go ahead, David. I promise to be quiet for at least 12
No,
seconds.
it's great, Ethan. It's really important call out because you really want that impartial critical analysis that AI can give as long as you aren't putting your thumb on the scale and pushing it one way or another. You want it to be able to look for things like risks in the program. What are the risks? And you don't want it to hide something. Humans naturally hide things. It's just people don't want to either psychologically, even if they're not really afraid, they just nobody wants to step forward and say, my program's having issues. They'd rather gloss over it and go back and try to fix it before it becomes critical. AI, if it's doing the right thing, can analyze things and say, there's really an issue here. And if it's really been trained well and given good sets of data on what happened before, it can even help your decisions. It can give you proposals as far as, hey, this team has been falling behind. I think the last time it happened, we sent 2 engineers over there and it got things on track. Or it might even analyze it's too late to send in the engineers. I suggest that we start trimming features or we start cutting things down. This is all analysis that can be accelerated by AI. Again, though, people need to supervise that and they need to look at it, but it can get you to a point where you know there's an issue, that you know some options to correct the issue, but it will give you a clearer, more impartial view of the program as long as you're not influencing it in some way. So make sure your AI is being critical of you. And with that, then the next thing is once you've got that rolling, how do you work with the people to get it moving forward? Ethan?
Yeah. So this slide comes based off the image to the right, which is AI is this race car, but the race car is going to be caught in traffic. If you just think of the analogy of a car, just because if I buy you a car that can go 150 miles an hour and you live in a suburban neighborhood with congested roads, exactly how are you going to get more value out of it? Well, what I think about a lot today in a leadership context is if AI doubles or triples or 10x's the speed at which code can be written, it doesn't 10x the speed in which you can align with other groups or clear bottlenecks or handle dependencies. And so AI for leaders and for shipping projects only will make you faster if you can stay ahead of the other bottlenecks. And so that does mean figuring out where your dependencies are, which AI in a big company might be able to help you identify dependencies, tell you everywhere the code's going to interface, but then you're going to have to get to those human managers and align them. So being able to code faster doesn't mean coding the right things faster. So that's bullet one, right? Speed doesn't imply correct choices. That's why you need good product management. You need to do this other work with what are the priorities. The second thing is getting other stakeholders aligned. You may have a great product. It's still a human process to say we should make this change rather than that change and bring the humans along to be in your decision. And it's the third thing, all these other teams theoretically are now able to use AI to build their thing faster, but are they aligned with working on what you need in your time frame and you work on what they need in their time frame? That process hasn't changed. AI hasn't solved that yet. And so for all of these, the punchline at the bottom is to get that race car going down the empty road at 200 miles an hour in a Formula One car is a human task today. It may change. We don't know all the future possibilities of AI, but right now, clearing the road for the fast coding that everyone talks about is human. And so a lot of this discussion today and in our full Ship It course is about the human part of clearing the road. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Ethan. And once you've cleared the road, you want to get things into production. And once they're in production, we step in here as far as how AI can accelerate making sure things go well. You've got an alignment, you've gotten together with all the stakeholders, you agree on a date to ship, it's in production. Now you start to use AI to monitor the situation, to do things that people do today manually. We had rooms filled with people watching charts and graphs while the Olympics was underway. Now we have the ability to have AI also monitoring, but not charts and graphs. It's looking at the raw data and all the raw data, and it's looking for anomalies. The pattern recognition ability of AI is just unreal. It's calling out things that we would not have otherwise seen. It's understanding what could be going wrong, and it can even make recommendations. A lot of the tools that are out there that many of our teams are using in production already have AI plugged in some way. It's definitely worth looking into whatever tools your teams have to see what can be turned on and focused on the things that the sources and the systems that are in production. If you've done the right thing while you've been launching, and you've added, as I call it, knobs and levers to change things in production, to alter behavior, to give the customer a different experience, to throttle throughput, you can give those controls, at least in a limited fashion, to the AI processes to change that. So when it sees something going wrong, it can make an adaptation before humans even need to get involved. Now, you're not going to necessarily want to do that all the time. We often, in large production scale, have some sort of even executive oversight. Like, we want to turn off the requirement to log in. That's a big one. I probably wouldn't let AI make that decision. But if it chose and it said, this is the only thing that'll save the system, I would at least have that in my hands to then go, I would be alerted and I would be able to go to the executive staff to say, hey, this is what's happening. And I'd have more data immediately available to explain the situation and to make those changes to it while we're, under a crisis. The key here is that AI can just do this monitoring 24/7, 365, but especially during a crisis, and provide you more information. It could probably create an executive summary that you could review and send to the right people to get things going. You had a point, Ethan? I can see you.
No, I just stood up, but I love this because I feel like this is the forgotten phase. You know, we put out a course and we titled this about how to ship things, but we spend more time operating stuff. And it's also the night and weekend.
Yeah.
Outages so rarely occur conveniently at 10 a.m. on Tuesday when we're all in the office and well rested. And this is the tireless around the clock watcher is a really good potential use of AI to improve your overall success of your products. Um, again, though, right now we want to use AI to warn us about things. It's not probably ready for full autonomous control because of some of its limitations.
Yes, exactly. And even before AI, we had things where we would automatically scale systems. In many ways, though, we still had to add manual oversight on that because we didn't want to auto scale up or auto scale down too quickly. So this may be coming eventually, but AI has that ability, and the 24/7, 365 is key, especially during an event, but even not during an event, where you can pull in the right people and say, this looks like a problem. So the end result of that, though, is you've got the systems up, you've got them running. Now you need to explain to business what the impact has been. And this is where, again, AI accelerates something for business that it's going to be key that people explain to business. Because I think they look a lot at,
When you say
we're not
explain to
touching.
business, say a little more, Dave, about those. Business is a set of people, not just
Sure.
a thing.
So to senior executives, to the CEO, to the CTO, to the CFO, what's happening to the
To the
to the chief,
stakeholders,
to the
yeah.
stakeholders, to you know, especially a lot, the CEO is going to want to know, but the marketing team, the product team, the revenue team are all going to want to understand, how is this impacting the business? Where's the money going? Where are the customers going? How can we change that? Right now, what'll happen is you'll have a large event, and even if there's A/B testing going on, you'll collect some of that data, and weeks later, you'll have a meeting with the CFO, CEO, all those stakeholders to analyze what happened. What was the impact on the business? Did we get the results that we wanted? Did the customers do what we expected, or did they have challenges doing things? You'll look for one-star reviews in the App Store. You'll look for, customer feedback. AI can be looking for these things in real time and explain what's going on with more data. That you're still going to have to get that to those stakeholders, as you're saying, Ethan, to help them understand what's going on. But explaining
Yeah,
to
so
them,
to make a practical example of that,
yeah,
many of you know I have a subscription newsletter. And somebody who works with me at one point said, "Hey, look, this week your subscription stayed the same. Nobody came or left, right? We didn't gain or lose anyone." Well, that's not true, right? What happened is 20 people joined and 20 people left. And AI is going to be the surface level metric, total subscribers is the same, hides that 20 people joined and 20 people left, and AI can easily look into and say, here are the characteristics of the 20 who left, here are the characteristics of the 20 who joined. That tells you something about why the 20 who left were dissatisfied, and something about the 20 who joined, why they were attracted. And that's the kind of business impact analysis that in the past we just report the server load's the same, the number of tickets is the same, or it's up or down. AI can do thousands of hours of equivalent work to get you deeper. And I realize I'm slightly off topic, but almost all the big business wins in my life came from digging below that surface level and finding what's the underlying driver. Well, AI is tireless at this. And so if you feed it all the data, it will dig and dig for you. Go ahead, David.
that's exactly right. We had built up some modeling during the Olympics just to monitor, for example. It took a lot of work to get these in place to find out what customers were really interested in. Were they interested in the gold medal alerts that we had? Were they interested in a particular athlete? And that data came in, and we were able to make some decisions. But if you imagine taking that to the next level, taking that up, where in real time you can be looking for patterns you weren't expecting. We were looking for patterns clearly that we thought might happen, and that's building that manually. AI can do that in an automated process, which is it gives the business much more, and I mean by the business, the stakeholders, much more access and control to manage the business, to change marketing, to change advertising, to change user behavior in some way to impact the bottom line for the business overall. And
Which
that's
is something we talk about all the time in this context. As technologists, we love to build and ship cool big projects,
yes,
and we can forget that they're not worth much if they don't deliver value to someone. I've built a number of what I found to be very satisfying products that in the end nobody wanted, or they didn't make enough money, and so they were shut down.
exactly. Exactly, Ethan. So it's these continuous loops that you can look for those things, and you know, yeah, some things are going to fail, and that's just part of the data that you'll come up with and understand that didn't work for the business. But with that, that's the end of this slide. Ethan, unless you have something else, we can
Nope,
move
let's
into
go.
kind of the
We want to get to
Q&A.
Q&A. So, anyone with questions, you should be able to raise your hand within Zoom. We will take down the slides
All right.
so that we can focus on that. Dave, did you have a slide about our full class before you did that? I thought it was supposed to come before Q&A. Did it get
Yes,
moved last?
I thought I moved that, but apparently I moved it back. So here's
Yeah,
the
you
slide.
unmoved it. So for anybody who wants to join our full class, we won't take a bunch of your time on it. I think you'll get a follow-up email on it, or Jason can stick the link in chat. But we teach the full Ship It class on June 7th and 8th. And so with that, we'd be happy to take questions. Go ahead and stop the share. Anyone with questions, raise your hand in the virtual Zoom response. And usually we have a line of questions. So I'll just buy time for a second. And otherwise, we're happy to keep the lightning lesson short. So there's a question in chat. We'll use that while we wait for someone to find the raise hand button if they do. I have a question. Do you think AI prompts are reliable for prioritizing big features on a company's product roadmap? Do you think directly talking to customers is still relevant? I for sure think talking directly to customers is relevant. If you use my own example I shared, I polled my customer base, if you will, on what they thought. And then I used AI to help me analyze their answers. But in no way would I direct a large company's roadmap based solely on what AI thought. I would just use it to understand that, probably many of you have heard AI, an analogy for AI is that it is like a very overeager intern. It will do lots and lots of analysis for you. So I would treat its output as all this hard work from an intern that I should consider, not as a decision. Dave, anything you would add to that?
I agree. I would add a lot of the user feedback. Like if you had it beforehand, I would even add that to the AI. But I think anything that comes from the AI, at least today, is going to need a lot of human judgment to decide what really makes sense. And again, when you put together a product, reviewing it with actual customers gives you real feedback. That's something that is it's still critical to the process.
I do think a great question I would ask AI on any product is, how could we test this with customers quickly? How could we mock it up? How could we put this in front of them? I think AI could be really good at what are the three main risks we should talk to customers about? How can we disambiguate this choice versus that choice? those are the kind of things I think AI is a great thought partner. Okay.
Thanks.
No one has raised their hand. Oh, there's
Oh,
one just under the wire. So, Harry, we'll take your question. Go ahead. Come off mute and ask.
Right, very good. Thanks for sharing. I really liked the slide where you had AI as a sports car and you had a bunch of blockers as stakeholders. Um, and I'd like to frame my question from that slide.
Okay.
Um, AI, like you said, has different sets of outputs based on who's asking the question. Given the democratization of AI, stakeholders view the output from their lens, which may or may not be, closest to the truth. How do you navigate different sets of opinions, which are all output from, GPT equivalent, enterprise GPT equivalent, to ensure that you're getting, to the right answer or to the right set of features that would have the highest ROI or customer benefit?
Wow. Gosh, I wish I felt I could do that perfectly. I think your point was stakeholders have different opinions and they have their own views. A lot of that is social engineering in the form of at least trying to get them to articulate their biases. So we're a little bit outside the realm of AI here and more in the realm of good questioning skills and good listening skills. And trying to ask people, why do you believe that? Or what's behind that? What is underlying? Can you share with me your assumptions? What goal are you trying to achieve? You want to ask open-ended questions to try to get people to share, because often misalignment isn't that we actually disagree. It's not that I think it is black and you think it's white. Instead, it's I'm thinking in black and white and you're thinking in gumdrops and jelly beans, and the third person is thinking in airplanes and unicorns. And so trying to pull that out and get an understanding. I tell a story where one of my clients was pushing very hard on a feature that would improve the data capture capability. She worked for a car company, and she was pushing very hard for a feature that would improve the data capture and telemetry of the car. But she was talking to someone whose only concern was the component cost of the car, what's called the BOM, the bill of materials. And her data needs were going to drive up the component cost. So he couldn't hear anything except more expensive. And she kept hammering away on better data, better data. And so they were just talking past each other. So the alignment wasn't more cost, less cost, or better data, worse data. It was not talking to each other at all, even though they were shouting. And so I think when you think about stakeholder alignment, a lot of it is still in the human realm of teasing those things out. I've given a very long answer. I think you could use AI in places to say, this is what I know about this person. What concerns might they have from their perspective or their job that I'm not thinking of? It might give you some ideas, but I think a lot of that is still in the realm of human interaction. Go ahead, Dave, if you have anything.
I was gonna say, I agree. Like I think you've hit on the keynotes, is that it's really about the human interaction and listening. I was gonna suggest plugging in AI, but again, it's a matter of looking at what data is coming out of AI and understanding what the concerns are from the stakeholders, and that's a human aspect, and just adapting to it. And you could use AI to explain it better, maybe, or to address their concerns as a tool, but it's still that interaction with you and somebody else, you and a stakeholder, to figure out what the needs are. I think we had one other question in chat.
Yeah.
I saw it. Do you think the thing for managers to focus on is strengthening judgment and knowing what is actually good instead of focusing on improving AI skills? I actually think that's a great question. And I think that I'll say my opinion. I think they need to focus on improving their judgment and understanding what is good. AI skills AI is going to improve over time. A lot of people are focusing on prompt engineering and creating the right prompt and not influencing. I agree with all of that. But over time, the most important part is judging what comes back, judging whether it's useful and how to apply it. So that judgment and leveraging it in a meaningful way is more important than learning some specific AI skills or AI tool. Any take it from you, Ethan?
I'm answering a question. I'm
Oh,
busy typing.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I heard everything you said. And I think, gosh, I think you can win either way. I think there is a role for the manager who becomes an AI tool expert and can guide teams and organizations what tools to use and to be the lead by example, particularly if you work in a company that has less tech savvy people and less drive for adoption. Because, you know, if I look outside, everybody here is probably at this class because they use AI tools. But if you probably look around your home environment or your neighbors or your kids or whatever, or certainly the adults who are older, they're not using AI at all. And so you can make a ton of gain just by introducing them. Super funny story. I was talking to someone recently, and it was a husband and wife couple, and the wife, who's very smart, she's a lawyer and well educated, had been misunderstanding her husband for quite a while, that he had been consulting with someone named Chad GBT. And she kept wondering, like, who is this Chad GBT you're working with? And so now when they talk about using AI, because it did get cleared up, they call AI Chad. Oh, did you ask Chad? But remember, not everyone, so there is a role to be the evangelist. However, I think that is a temporary role. And I spend a ton of time thinking about which of my skills are AI resistant. And human interaction, human judgment, empathy, AI will be able to simulate these, but not fully replace them for a long time. So I focus there.
I agree. Other
No, we're good.
anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think we can wrap up. We can just thank everybody for being here. We enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for all your questions. There is a question. Somebody can't find the raise hand button, so we'll take that last question, which says, what is the best way to mechanize AI output evaluation at scale? I don't know if I have a great answer to that. I struggle myself with the fact that when I ask AI things, it vomits lots of stuff out, and then, like, how do I keep track of it all? So AI definitely has a chance to overwhelm us, and I don't think that's been fully solved. So there.
I agree with that. I would say that when I've gotten that vomit of feedback or ideas, I will literally ask it to summarize. And AI can, like, you will have a volume of things coming out. If I had, let's say that I pointed at a production system and all of a sudden it tells me 5,000 things that are going wrong. It's like, I can't deal with that. I need to know what the top 10 things are that we should be looking at now. And even if you with the top 10, you would review that by humans. So I think it's a matter of funneling it down somehow, asking the AI to whittle it down to some number that's manageable by humans and scaling it then for the humans to take a look at. And ideally, at least in the case I'm talking, you'll find the right things in that set that you've already gotten whittled down by the AI.
Okay, I'm done typing, so I've answered that. All right, everyone, it's been great lightning lesson. Hope to see you in one of our classes or around on the web. See you next time, and until then, I'm Ethan Evans. This is my friend David Markley. See you later.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.